It is August the 13th, 2014, and I, Victoria Adams, am interviewing Mr. James Ingram as part of the Smithsonian's The Way We Worked exhibit in Red Level, Alabama. Will you just state your name for the interview?
James Ingram.
Okay, and that is James, right?
Right.
And then Ingram.
Right.
All right. The Way We Worked exhibit, and they're going to use this video as part of that, and you consent to me doing this recording. All right. Please state your full name and where you currently live.
James Carroll Ingram, Red Level, Alabama.
And when and where were you born?
In Coleman County. Actually, I was born just up the road from right here.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just up the road in Red Level. As a child, what did will you say your birthday too on there?
The what?
Did you say your birthday on there? What day were you born?
4th of June, 32.
Okay. As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I had a lot of things. Well, I was a farmer, and at that time, that's what I wanted to be. But as time come on, I didn't want to be a farmer. But
As a child, what type of chores did you do?
what?
What type of chores did you do around the house?
Oh, toy trucks, toy tractors.
Did you have to help with the farm any?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, when I was real young, I was too young to drive a tractor. But when I got old enough to drive a tractor, that's what I did.
And pretty much you just helped farm.
Yeah.
All right, what childhood memories do you have of your family working? Like, what kind of memories do you have of your mom and dad working?
It was terrible. They had my mother would work in the field, so time for her to cook dinner. She'd come out and cook dinner, and we'd come out and eat and go back. It was tough.
What did she do in the field?
Hoe, pick cotton, anything to come to hand.
What about your dad?
Well, he did just did the work. He did. He'd applied a mule before we had a tractor, and
grist mills.
yeah.
School bus.
Yeah, he drove a school bus.
Will you tell me about that? Will you tell me about that with your dad driving the school bus and the boarding house?
Yeah. Well, he owned his own bus. At that time, you could have a bus on a truck, you know. And he drove that bus for I don't know how many years.
And what about the boarding house?
When she boarded the school teachers.
Oh yeah,
sawmill hand.
She boarded the school teachers up. Most at any one time was 3 school teachers, but she also boarded sawmill hands one time. Yeah, I had to get wood for the fireplaces.
As a kid, you had.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything specific about the teachers? Did they have anything that they had to do particular?
No, just.
Talking about, like, you told me that they couldn't date, they had to have chaperones, they couldn't be out, or maybe Mama even told me they couldn't smoke, they couldn't drink.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They had a real strict.
Yeah, it was strict.
Do you remember hearing your parents talk about their work? Do you ever remember them talking about how they worked? Or
Yeah.
Can you tell me anything they'd say in particular?
Well, my mother would talk about doing farm work and then cooking too. She'd come out and cook dinner and did a wood stove. Didn't have no electricity. It was tough.
Oh, yeah. What was your first job outside of the home? Like, what was the first job you ever held?
I worked at the picking plant in River Falls when I was about 15 years old. And I drove back then you could get driver's license when you was 15. I had driver's license. I drove a truck to go to Castleberry and Georgiana and Evergreen to pick up cucumbers, bring them back to Red Level. That's where they pick them in Red Level.
Did you contribute to the family income? Did you give money so you gave?
Yeah.
And did you ever get to spend any of your money on your own?
Yeah. They weren't that strict on me. Yeah. Most of the time, whatever I made, I spent it myself. I didn't have to do it to them.
Okay. What do you consider to be your main career?
Farming.
Farming. And how did you decide on farming?
Well, there just wasn't much else to do at that time. You either farmed or you didn't.
Did you have to train for your career?
Yeah.
And how did you get your training?
On the job.
It was on the job training. You just learned as you went.
Trial and error, huh? What type of technology did you use in your job? And that can just be like tractors or like the newest equipment that you might have gotten.
Well, we had some modern stuff. Had a tractors. Finally had a cotton picker and peanut combines. That's what you want to know, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And
Basically, they start out with stacking peanuts and pulling corn, and then you go to peanut pickers and shelling corn and bigger tractors and bigger equipment. You just kind of went with the times.
Just made it a lot easier to harvest.
Mm-hmm.
What were your first wages or your first pay?
Well, when I worked at the picking plant in River Falls, I think I made $50 a week. That'd be about right. That's been a long time ago now. I don't know about right. But it was minimum wage, yeah.
How did your work change over time?
Wasn't it?
How did your work change over time? Like what changes did you notice over time as you were working?
I don't know.
Well, it would just be just like with the 2-row to the 4-row to
Yeah.
the more modern it got, probably the less intense the labor was, but
Tractors made it a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
What do you consider to be your most meaningful accomplishment in your work? Like, it could be anything, like purchasing a piece of land that
was it. I bought some land from my father in I farmed that, and then I bought some more land. I farmed that, and I don't know if that's what you want to know or not, but that's.
Oh, anything you say is fine, really. What effect, like, did wars, natural disasters, or any national or international events have on your life and your career? Growing up, do you remember anything going on that?
Yeah, I remember when the bomb Pearl Harbor, and of course that didn't have much to do with me, but as a rule, everybody was affected.
Did it affect your family's work or anything at that time?
Yeah.
How did it affect it?
I don't know.
Did you have family members go fight in the war?
Yeah. Well, not actually fighting, but I had a brother that spent 30 years in the Air Force, and he went to India, and one brother was drafted. He spent 18 months. That's all he spent. And,
you didn't tell her you went.
Huh?
You didn't tell her you were in the Air Force.
Yeah, I spent almost 4 years in the Air Force.
Okay, good. Were you ever deployed to any situations?
Mm-mm.
Do you remember any type of labor strikes or problems between workers and management? You didn't really have that with farming, probably. How do you feel about organized labor?
I don't like it.
You don't like it. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me why?
Well, I said, if you got a job, if you're satisfied with that job, then you ought to stick with it. If you're not satisfied with it, you ought to move somewhere else.
Okay. And how do you feel about the future of work in the United States?
I don't know.
There ain't no wrong answer.
Just whatever you feel. I mean, it's all opinion.
Well, I think we got it as good as it ever been. In other words, the modern equipment really helps the farmer produce. You could produce more for less labor.
Mm-hmm. Do you think people work as hard today as they did?
No. But it was hard, but it wasn't hard as it was back then.
Okay. What words of advice would you give to future generations about their careers?
Get an education. And specialize in something.
Okay. I have a is there anything else that you would like to talk about that we haven't covered during this interview?
Not that I know of.
Well, I have a question about something you said earlier when you were talking about your job. Do you remember anything about Red Level growing up as a kid, even downtown?
Yeah.
What was it like on a Friday night downtown?
It was dull.
It was dull?
We didn't have nothing to do. You could maybe go to a picture show or square dance or something like that.
So you could square dance?
Yeah.
Downtown?
Yeah.
Do you remember any businesses that were open?
Mm-hmm. Red Level Hardware was one of the biggest attractions, and they had 2 or 3 little grocery stores.
There's clothing stores, and I think there were 2 or 3 hardwares at one time.
Yeah.
Drugstore.
Yeah.
And I think there's 1 or 2 clothing stores.
I know 2 hardwares. The closest you had the milling company, then there was the other feed store. Cotton gin.
Cotton gin.
Oh yeah, had a cotton gin.
Was that like a special treat to get to go downtown?
Oh yeah.
So like, how often did you get to go?
Not very often. Well, I probably,
Did Papa used to take y'all to town on the school bus?
yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, my daddy owned his own bus, and he could do it, drive it any way he wanted to. And a lot of times he'd get up at the load and go to town, and they'd have a good time and bring them back home. But we wasn't forced to do things that we didn't have to do.
There's two grocery stores. There was three.
So what did you like? What did you do? Where did you take your date? Did y'all?
Shady Nook.
No, you did not.
We go to movies, picture shows.
And that was in downtown Red Level. Did they have that here?
No.
No, the Andalusia was the nearest place. And of course, we had square dances. We go to have a square dance in Red Level or the Falls and McKenzie. It's high school McKenzie. That was the main thing.
Was that inside or outside?
It was outside. Inside. Yeah. We use the gymnasium or the auditorium to square dance. It was fun. It was hot. It had no air conditioning. But it was a lot of fun.
When you said earlier about the boarding house for teachers, did all of those teachers teach at Red Level?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute now. There's a little school over here, a lot of them taught at. Midway,
Yeah,
And another school named Midway?
yeah.
country school, but
Right over here.
Do you remember going to school at Red Level?
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear about the football story. About getting the first.
I was telling them about, y'all starting the football back.
Oh, we had there was Red Level. Years ago, that was banned for playing football, going to country fighting. But they finally got that straightened out, and we had some good times playing football.
How did you get football started back at the school?
Was it two or three of my friends kept talking to the principal about getting the team back, and they finally agreed. And
He's had to raise $2,500. They had to raise $2,500 was the story.
yeah, and they did that, and
Did your team? How did y'all do your first season?
you don't really want to know.
He said the first game he ever saw he played in.
Oh no!
I never seen no football till I played in that one. The first team we played was
Greenville, wasn't it?
Greenville, yeah. That was big school. Got beat 60 something. I don't remember the exact score, but it was 60, 70 something to nothing. And we didn't win a game for the first season. In fact, I don't know. We didn't win on the second season.
I don't think so. No.
Do you remember? Were many people at the football games?
Oh yeah. Well, not as the way it goes now, but it was a lot of people at that time.
Well, I appreciate you doing this for us. It'll be neat to have it represented, and I'll stop it now.